Hi, I'm Clayton Sheffield. I'll be reading The Pardoner's Tale. The pardoner begins by addressing the company, explaining to them that when he preaches in churches, his voice booms out impressively like a bell, and his theme is always that greed is the root of all evil. First, the pardoner says, he explains where he has come from, and shows his papal bulls, indulgences, in glass cases crammed full of rags and bones, which he claims, to the congregation at least, are holy relics with magical properties. Then, the pardoner invites anyone who has sinned to come and offer money to his relics, and therefore to be absolved by the pardoner's power. This trick, the pardoner says, has earned him at least 100 marks since he was made a pardoner. And when the lewd people are seated, he continues to tell them false trickeries and lies. His intention, he says, is simply for to win, which is to profit, and nothing for correction of sin. The pardoner doesn't care whether, after burial, his congregation souls go blackberry picking. Thus, the pardoner says, he splits out his venom under the pretense of holiness, seeming holy, pious, and true. Greed is the root of all evils, the pardoner quotes again, explaining that he preaches against the same voice which he himself is guilty of. Yet, although he knows he is guilty of sin, he can still make other people turn away from it. Next, the pardoner tells the company how he tells his congregation old stories from long ago, for lewd people love and tales old. He will not, he says, work with hands and make baskets, but get money, wool, cheese, and wheat for himself, even if it is from the poorest page or the poorest widow in a village. He will drink liquor of vine and have a jolly wench in every town. Now hold your peas, he shouts at the company and begins his tale. There once lived in Flanders a company of 3 rioters who did nothing but engage in irresponsible and sinful behavior. At this point, the narrator interrupts the tale itself to launch a lengthy diatribe against their drunkenness, mentioning Herod, Siddiqua, Adam, Samson, Attila the Hun, and St. Paul as either sources of famed drunkards. This in turn oddly becomes a diatribe against people whose stomachs are their gods. Their end, we are told, is death, and then diatribe against the stomach, called, at one point, a stinking cod, full of dong and corruption. This distraction from the story itself ends with an attack on dice playing. The 3 drunkards were in a tavern one night, and, hearing a bell ring, looked outside to see men carrying a corpse to its grave. One of them called to a slave to go and ask who the corpse was. He was told by a boy that the corpse was an old fellow whose heart was smashed in 2 by a secret thief called Death. This drunkard agreed, and discussed with his companions how this Death had indeed slain many people of all ranks of both sexes that very year. The 3 then made a vow to find Death and slay him. When they had not gone even half a mile, they met an old, poor man at a side, who greeted them courteously. The proudest of the drunkards responded rudely, asking the man why he was still alive at such a ripe age. The old man answered that he was alive because he could not find anyone who would exchange their youth for his age, and although he knocked on the ground, begging to let him in, he still did not die. Moreover, the old man added, it was not courteous of the drunkards to speak so rudely to an old man. One of the other drunkards responded still more rudely that the old man was to tell them where Death was, or regret not telling them dearly. The old man, still polite, told the drunkards they could find Death up the crooked way and underneath an oak tree. The drunkards ran until they came to the tree, and underneath it they found 8 bushels of gold coins. The worst one of them spoke first, arguing that fortune had given them the treasure to leave their life in happiness. But realizing that they could not carry the gold home without people seeing them and thinking them thieves, therefore, he suggested, they should draw lots, and one of them should run back to the town to fetch bread and wine, while the other 2 protected the treasure. Then, at night, they could agree where to take the treasure and carry it to safety. This was agreed, and lots were drawn. The youngest of them was picked to go to the town. However, as soon as he had gone to the town, the 2 remaining drunkards plotted amongst themselves to stab him upon his return, and then split the gold between them. While he was in the town, the youngest thought of the beauty of the gold coins, and decided to buy some poison in order to kill the other 2, keeping the gold for himself. Thus, he went to an apothecary, bought some strong and violent poison, poured it into 2 or 3 wine bottles, topped them up with wine, and returned to his fellows. Exactly as the other 2 had planned it, it befell. They killed him on his return, and sat down to enjoy the wine before burying his body, and, as it happened, drank the poison and died. The tale ends with a short sermon against sin, asking for God to forgive the trespass of good men, and warning them against the sin of avarice, before inviting the congregation to come up and offer their wool in return for pardons.